Hi everyone, I just wanted to take a moment to talk about self-care with everything that's going on in the world, with a worldwide pandemic, the holidays coming up, and I thought this would be a great time to talk about that. Today we're going to be talking about what self-care is, why self-care is important, some tips, a go-to guide on stressful times, non-traditional self-care ideas, and some additional help. So, what is self-care? Self care is the deliberate activity we do in order to take care of ourselves, knowing who you are and what your limits are, making sure your basic needs are met and knowing when you need them. And also, self care is something that you don't need a lot of money to participate in. Oftentimes, you see in the news that people are taking large spa days for self care. So that might be somebody's, but it often doesn't take a lot of money to participate in that. Self care is important because it encourages a healthy relationship with yourself and others. It's also really vital to know that self care is not being selfish. It's something that you need to do to be able to take care of yourself. As you can see on the bottom photo, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of yourself first. This is kind of what that means by that. There are 6 main benefits to self care: increases productivity, improves resistance to disease, have better physical health, enhanced self esteem, increased self knowledge, and it just is able to have gives you more to give. So kind of like that pouring from an empty cup. You can't pour from an empty cup if you aren't taking care of yourself first. Next, we'll be going over self care practices for every aspect of your life, which include physical, emotional, social, mental, and spiritual. First up is physical. These are activities that keep your body fit and healthy. You need to take care of your body in order for it to run efficiently. And the more you care for your body, the better you are able to think and you feel better. Some activities that include taking care of your body are fueling your bodies through food, water, etc., getting enough sleep, getting enough physical activity, making sure you're taking your medications as prescribed, and attending appointments, whether that be doctor's appointments, mental health appointments, etc. Emotional self-care is important to allow yourself to feel and express your full range of emotions. It's really important to have healthy coping skills to be able to deal with uncomfortable emotions such as anger and sadness. Um, it's it's super important to be talking with someone close to you about how you're feeling. And if that's not something you have access to or it's just not for you, another option for that is keeping a journal. Even another option for keeping a journal is writing how you're feeling on a small piece of paper, a sticky note, etc. And then once you're done, just ripping it up and throwing it away. Sometimes people find that that is really helpful. Also, setting aside time to process your emotions, whether that be putting 5 minutes or so on your phone and just taking time for yourself to just be able to think and reflect. Have you ever felt an emotion that you're not really sure why you're feeling it or not even really sure what that emotion is? I found this emotion wheel and it helps describe 6 basic emotions and help identify how you're feeling and help you verbalize it. So you start at the middle of the circle at mad, scared, joyful, powerful, peaceful, sad, and you pick an emotion that you're feeling. And then you go out to whatever designated color you're at, and it helps you identify how you're feeling and help verbalize it. People, when they use this emotion wheel, they feel a greater sense of control and they're able to help develop a plan on moving forward. So if you need to take a moment, you can pause this video, take a photo, or you can just type into Google emotion wheel and this should pop up. Next is social self-care. Close connections are very important to your well-being. As humans, socialization is how we connect with one another. So make sure you're taking time to build relationships with people that you care about, whether that's calling them on the phone or seeing them in person, and just keep continuing to build that relationship. Also, taking time to figure out what your social needs are. This is really important and something that often you may just not think about. So, maybe being around others gives you energy and life and kind of helps reset yourself, and that's awesome. And maybe you like being around people, but you also need time to recharge and for yourself, and that's awesome too. So, really, just taking time to figure out what kind of end of the spectrum you are on the social spectrum is really important and helpful when going on with social self care. Number 4 is mental self care. So these are activities that help you feel clear minded. What we think and what we feel and influence our mind with really helps our psychological well being. So, finding activities that help keep your mind sharp, such as puzzles, books, learning subjects that interest you, is really important to mental self care, as well as inner self dialogue. So, this is practicing self compassion, self acceptance for yourself, and giving time just to be alone. Lastly, is spiritual self care, and this is anything that helps develop a deeper sense of meaning, understanding, or connection with the universe. So, this may be taking time for your religion or spirituality, or even meditation, just really what helps ground you. Next, I wanted to include a go to guide for stressful times. With everything that's coming up, with the holidays, exams, etc., I wanted to take a time to go over some tips that may be helpful during stressful times. If you're having a stressful time, event in your life, make sure you're taking breaks for alone time if that alone time does help you. Sometimes things get overwhelming and we just need to be alone, and that's okay. Make sure you're setting boundaries for yourself and for others. We really can't do it all the time, and that's okay. So knowing your limits and knowing whatever needs to pause at the time is a super important skill to have. For example, if seeing family around the holidays is just too much for you or it's just too overwhelming, it's okay to set boundaries around that. Also, during stressful times, keeping routines and getting enough rest is vitally important. Lastly, grieve if you need to. Grieving is super helpful in the process of emotions, kind of going back to the emotional self care. It just really allows us to feel and express our full range of emotions. Here are 2 non traditional self care ideas. We have auricular therapy. This is ear acupuncture that pinpoints specific points on the ear and promote healing in other areas of the body. So they use thin needles and insert it into the skin on your ear. It helps promote sleep, heals traumas, treat chronic pain, helps with smoking cessation, and many more. Next is equine therapy, and they use horses to provide therapy. So it's used by creating bonds between the horse and the participant. Therapists find that horses mimic and mirror human emotion, so it's a really great tool when used in therapy and even helping determine behavior patterns. And this is in therapy, it's used through brushing, riding, talking with the horse, talking with the therapist, feeding, petting, etc. And it's also been found that it's a really great resource and tool for veterans. So I encourage you to look up local stables and groups who participate in equine therapy in the West Michigan area. If self-care doesn't seem like it's enough, please make sure to reach out for support from friends, loved ones, fellow veterans, and professionals. I've included 2 phone numbers for additional resources. The first one is a Veterans Crisis Line. They are a free resource for veterans even if you do not have VA benefits. They are there just to help listen and guide you to any resources if you need them. The second phone number is Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. They are dedicated to help refer people to mental health professionals if that is something you would like to look for. The last thing I wanted to add is a local West Michigan group who is dedicated to increase awareness and prevention of the tragedy of veteran suicide. They do this through peer retreats, community education, and they raise awareness. If you're interested in helping out the cause or checking out their website, feel free at lighthouseforveterans.org. As always, if you have any questions for us at Veterans Upward Bound, feel free to reach out to us at our website, our phone number, email, or stop in person. Thank you. Have a good day.